right, thanks everyone for coming out, and those of you who shared, and those of you who are here to listen. I'm really happy that you're here. All right, so since you mentioned the cover, I'll tell you about the cover, because I'm super proud of the cover. The cover was done by an artist out in LA, Carrie Paul, who is an undergrad friend of mine, who's also a poet. And her poetry is amazing, her art is amazing, and we came into the world of poetry together, so it's so wonderful that she's there with me on the page. Yeah. All right, so I have about 25 minutes of stuff. All right, list of confessions. I left a mirror hidden in the shadows to trap the sun. I held the moon underwater and watched her drown. I stapled a spider to the sky, and then another in the outline of you. I practiced getting lost so I could lead you astray. I captured your words in a jar with vinegar. I pickled your words. I made your words into a condiment. I am slowly replacing you with hair I collect from your pillow. I forgot to take a picture of your absence. I deleted the picture I took of your absence.
That is awesome.
That's where we're going to be for a while, guys. All right. Dismantling an angel. You can't start with the wings, but with something smaller and less angelic. An arm, for example, or an ear. You must remove the hair if it exists, although whoever wanted a hairy angel. Then remove the flesh, a lantern slowly burning out. You are left with only a bone. But what is the bone of an angel? It is the sound of air through a cave. Let it float away over the hill. Then turn your attention to the next. How to build a bird. Take notes, guys. Start with a balloon filled with sky. Filter out the clouds. Moisture adds weight. Water will always seek the ground. Attach leaves for feathers, ginkgo wings, elm tail. It is tempting to use sticks for feet, but only ones picked fresh from the highest branches. Remember, this is a golem of the sky. The beak should be a sprouting seed of grass. And how does it fly? Whisper to it, the earth is full of eyes. The next few are from the book. Those are some newer ones I just read. Cat. She was only in the corner of my eye at first, calico on orange tile, growing until the whole roof speckled, white and black. But it is only a cat. Even though she scurries up the roof so comfortably, it seems she'll run all the way to the clouds and be the first cat in heaven. Ave, Calico. Ave, the tomcat joining her now. The cats are gathering slowly, each enjoying the sun, yawning to let it reach down into the stomach and radiate back out, making moon cats, prowling moon and heat. And I think most of us remember when people sent letters or close to it. Might be a myth. Yeah, excellent. Well, just think back to those times, more complicated times. The empty mailbox. The mailbox has been empty for days, and in the fertility of August, it has already grown wild. Vines sprout from its open mouth, and a tiny stray dog jumps to the box and curls into home. Days pass, and a small worm, living in a puddle at the box's leg, buds legs and begins to crawl, evolving into a small species of bird with the call of late-night radio. The dog survives on the meat of the birds until they become extinct and then follows that road. Fall will come soon, and the forest of the mailbox will become bare. Perhaps then your letters will again migrate home. And one thing that's always fascinated me is how people deal with grief. It's such an extreme experience. I mean, we all go through it, but it's at the edge of what we experience. And so it really, I think, becomes... there are so many differences because we all approach it, and we can't just rely on cliches. So this next one comes from a story I read in News of the Weird back in Creative Loafing probably 30 years ago, called Eating His Dead Wife.
Oh.
Yeah. It doesn't even seem weird anymore, eating his dead wife's ashes in his cereal every morning. He enjoys being with her every day, her inside him for a change. If the cereal is sweetened, he thinks of her eyes. Bran reminds him of her navel and how like a bowl it was. He doesn't know what will happen when he runs out of her again.
Oh. Goosebumps, darling.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, this next one I have to explain a word. If cholla is this kind of cactus out in the desert. I did a degree out in Arizona, and it's made of a bunch of balls. It is the ballsiest cactus in the world, and it has these little thorns around it, like you would expect. But then it has these long thorns that are really translucent, and you can't see them, and they have a little barb on the end. So you think you're clearing the cactus, but if you rub against one of those barbs, it'll catch on your clothes or skin. The whole ball will come off, and it'll wrap around and hit you, and it's called the jumping cactus because of that. So this is a night that one of my friends was about to leave, and we went out driving a truck in the desert, saying goodbye to a friend. Not needing a fire, but starting one, because we already had the wood. The smoke becoming women, then a deep fog with men disappearing into the ground. The sound of low country music, behind that the sound of crickets. The driver tipsy, backing into cholla, a piece in your friend's leg, then rolling around, poltergeist in the truck bed. Out of the headlights, you shrink into the lit end of your cigarette. So there was a little black lab puppy in the back of the truck too.
Oh,
and
no.
so we were all trying to find the puppy and the cactus. And the puppy didn't get hit, but it was really stressful. And another building poem. I like to build things. Building a mountain. Piling rocks isn't so hard. You do the same thing, one wheelbarrow after another. The dirt comes for free as the rocks settle. Maybe jump on them a few times to be certain. The paths are there from the wheelbarrow tracks, simple really. And once it's tall enough, by God, some creature will start to live on it. I mean, something has to decide this side is as good as the other. And the birds, trying to make it over the crust, will occasionally drop a fruit or at least a seed of something. Clouds will get caught on the edges and tear. Voila, springs and streams. Really, the only difficulty is finding the wheelbarrow. All right. So I have twin daughters who are 13, and they do that circus aerial stuff where there's like stuff hanging from the ceiling, and they climb up it and do acrobatics and stuff. And they've been doing that for 7 years, and their whole life they've had two coaches, Hillary and Jacosa. And Jacosa is also a magician's assistant, so she wears sparkly outfits and does jazz hands. So you look over here while the magician does whatever he's doing over there. And she gets sawed in half and all kinds of things. Over Thanksgiving, she was out in LA doing a show at the World of Magic. And after the show, she and a friend of hers crawled up to the roof across the street to watch the stars. And on the way up, she lost her grip.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. These next two poems are on that. A couple things I always think about with that is, one, she practiced falling every day for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that she wasn't as terrified as I think we would all be in this room while falling. And second, her friend then was about 5 floors up and had to somehow get down after seeing that. So these 2 poems are about that. Jocosa was a Buddhist. So there are phrases in this first poem taken from her memorial chant, and there were also phrases that were hers. What the aerialist thought while falling 1.6 seconds to her death, which is a point her mom made during the memorial. And I've sent these to her mom, and they were taken as intended, I hope. To travel this world is a river, love. To cross paths is wonder. There are no photos of what hasn't been done. Only a tornado pulls objects up. Only destruction leaves this earth. I have taken a great leap. I have gone into the vast silence. I am carried away by the stream of birth and death. I am defenseless. If you can list all the magic books, is that itself a spell? Life goes on only if you're a small target, a hare not jumping in the open. Compassionate ones, forget not your ancient vows. Silk burns the skin if taken too fast. A falling body unzips the sky. I have become the voice that breaks the earth, that causes the crack, that lets the seed in. And the second, what the aerialist boyfriend thought as she fell to her death. The night collapses slowly on itself like a rotting house. Water could never hold its shape against gravity, but she was fire. The air shatters as she falls through it, shards in my lungs. I want her to be a tornado, to pull up from the ground, but she is a flock of birds nesting. She is ash, precipitate of sky. All right, let's shift moods. So a few years ago, I got interested in so we have these mythological monsters, you know, the Minotaur, the Medusa, and then we have these B-rate movies, like a continuum of human experiences. We love our monsters. So I was like, let's just shove them together. So the next 2 poems come from that impulse. Dr. Frankenstein at it again. He has sewn 3 heads to a dog, and it is terrible. A beast bound straight to hell, angry in 3 heads at once. He has grafted a stag to a lion to a bird to a woman. He pauses from his work and admires the woman. He tweaks, replacing one part with another, transforms the harpy into an angel with swan's wings, turns hell into heaven, and rests. Medusa as a vampire. Medusa is not a good vampire, despite the fangs in her hair. With a look, she turns men into stone. Impenetrable necks, frozen blood. She's tried closing her eyes, but no one stands still and waits for a vampire. Medusa never looked sexy in a cape, even when she wore nothing underneath it. Hey, my eyes are up here, but she meant it as a failed warning. Medusa's head is on Athena's shield, although she's undead. A bat has flown from her severed body in the form of a winged horse. Laughable monster. Pitiful, really.
Oh. Very clever.
Thanks. How am I doing on time?
Doing fine.
All right. So this next one started, the original first draft of it was back when I was in undergrad. And I went to an undergrad at UT Chattanooga, just up the road. And every semester, we had this writing conference, and these great writers would come out and read at our university, and they'd really spend time with us, and we would go out afterwards and have dinner. And they weren't there to be the exalted writer, they were there to be a teacher. So my book came out in February, which meant I got an invitation to this year's Meacham conference, and I got to go and read and be that teacher. And I got to read the poem that I started while I was there. So homesick. I was just calling to tell you, my socks don't match today. The coffee maker's brewing melancholy, and it's cold here. I was just calling to tell you the Turks conquered Europe with tulips. I'm sending you some next week. I was just calling to tell you, longing looked in my window while I slept. This morning I cleaned his face print from the glass. I was just calling to tell you, when all my being took flight, 1,000 moths thought of you. And then I have some really new ones that we'll try out. See how they go. Does anyone know Memorial Boulevard, that old Azar's Liquor?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's gone. It's
I
gone.
know. It's
Yeah. I live right around the corner from that, so seeing that field, that's where that's the setting for this.
that whole area is like just so. Oh my God, what's gonna
I
happen?
know, it's so much building right now, so much traffic. Yeah. Urban renewal. Let's look at that empty lot over there, where the liquor store with more dust and rust than bottles once stood. Let's imagine it as a field. Let's cover it with flowers, purples, blues, reds, with enough yellow to make us squint a little. And let's inscribe each petal with a fortune, or the name of a past lover, or a secret involving blood and lots of it. Let's use the most expensive inks. Use types lost since the Middle Ages. Let's pretend this is magic. And then let's light it up. Let's watch the flora ghost rising from field on fire. This one, I keep my Twitter account for one reason, and that is there's something now called the Magical Realism Bot, and every 2 hours a magical realism phrase comes up, and it's weird, and it's wonderful. So I've stolen some of those for this one, including the beginning of it and a couple lines from the end. A prophecy. There is a 15th century Portuguese prophecy that you will be imprisoned in a garden. And all of us tied to the earth know its truth. Know that from our earliest days, that a sun plus a day doesn't equal a day of rest. We are like a stone unsaying itself, unsaying itself, unsaying itself until smooth, then gone. A cyclone of hearts is heading for the heartland. Take a deep breath, hold it, carry it to the other side. The owl feather. When he picked up the feather from the forest, when he realized it held the heartbeat of the owl, when he saw how it moved with the small wind or the tremble from hands. No, the tremble travels the other direction, to the hand. When he realized the feather was the living part of the hollow structure we called owl, he freed it a second time. All right, I've got 3 more for you. I think a couple of these are in the book. Okay. The bird eats a building. The bird lands in a puddle, instantly shattering the reflection of a building, which she eats in pieces, like a cracker crushed in soup. She dips her wings into pavement, throws her head backwards, gargles the second-floor copier before flying away, leaving the puddle to grow a skyscraper, like Prometheus developing a new liver each night, the price for stealing fire. The lake. A lake formed when she looked away. This was fiction, but who created it? She did not see the earth suck in its belly or pull down the water from the clouds. She was walking away when time dropped second by second as fish, and a tadpole of neglect leaked from shore. Let the lake grasses be weak and bent. Let the geese fly past without pause. Let the snails be misformed and dry. This is not a dream lake after all. And the last one. The day the air conditioning broke in the Wax Museum.
Oh no! Oh no!
It's not pretty, folks. It's like Marilyn Monroe's breasts are onions. Layers are just falling off. Jimmy Carter is sweating, South Georgia style, and still smiling. It was never this hot in politics. Einstein's thoughts are finally tamed and follow the parade down his arms. They sleep on the floor tonight. In the Hall of Horrors, the executioners are wondering, what have I done to deserve this? And the prisoners are free. The Amazon tribe, decorating bodies so their souls can't escape, are losing, every one of them. The souls are flying around the ceiling. The saints aren't in any better shape, but at least they're used to suffering. St. Catherine thinks this is just another hallucination, watching the others melt. She's trying to interpret it while her brain slips down her throat. There's a whole Garden of Eden melting into one. The floor is sticking to my shoes. I'm taking Nirvana with me. And that's what I got for you tonight.